welcome to another episode of the Foundational Fathers Podcast. Today with me, I'm joined with Marcus and Justin over here. Sorry, I'm losing. It's late. It's late. I've had a long day. But anyway, thanks again to our sponsors, Sasquatch Goat Oil, as well as the Intentionally Uncommon Initiative and Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Thank you guys for your continued support. I'm joined today with these guys, and we're going to talk about this crazy thing that we like to do every so often, becoming unplugged. In this digital age, balancing technology while following Christ as a father requires intentionally doing it with wisdom, prioritizing your walk with God, and leading by example. Setting boundaries with screen time and helping create a Christ-centered home. Teaching your children biblical discernment, protecting your family from harmful influences, and using technology for God's glory. Ensuring the digital tools that we have are serving God and not man. So, Marcus, how do you find balance in the digital age?
Well, Nick, I use it for many things, and one of them is definitely for help me with some jokes some days. So with that being said, like I like to use them for jokes, why was the mobile phone wearing glasses? It lost its contacts.
Oh,
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah. What was the spider doing on the computer?
Crawling.
He was making a website.
I about
Yep.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that it's web something.
So, I mean, I figured you would get these, right? Like, what do you call an iPhone that sleeps too much?
Android.
You wish. Dead serious.
Dead serious. Wow, did Ray make these up?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
No, I did ask him to help me out. Not to be honest, I wasn't really feeling all that funny today. So,
have you looked in the mirror? Oh,
yeah. I said feeling, not seeing. What's a computer's favorite snack to eat?
Cookies.
chips.
Microchips.
Ah,
Yeah. That was good.
the cookies one was good too. Yeah, I would have gone with that.
I could see cookies. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they store them though.
That's true. They don't.
Yeah.
Ever eat 'em.
yeah. I mean, it stores the chips too.
I delete them. Yeah. But okay, let's see. What did the computer have during its break time?
A meltdown.
A bite.
A bite. Ah.
Yeah. What shoes do computers love the most?
Ooh. Sneakers.
Reboots.
Reboots.
Yeah. Why do computers go to the dentist?
Ooh. To protect from decay.
They get their Bluetooth checked.
Oh, Bluetooth check.
Yeah, some of these are pretty corny. What is the biggest lie anyone can tell?
I'm lost.
I have read and agreed to all the terms and conditions.
For sure.
All right. What kind of computer sings the best?
Dell?
Adele.
Adele.
Yeah.
Oh,
Adele.
I was right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adele. Got it.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. All right. Why did the developer become so poor?
I don't know.
He cleared his cache. Yeah.
Great man. Marcus, again, your humor is always punny.
Sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks, Ray, for those jokes. I know you wrote most of them.
Yeah.
All right. So finding balance in this digital age as a father who follows Christ can be challenging, but it's absolutely possible with intentionality and with wisdom. And some key principles that can help us navigate this is taking time to stay rooted in your faith and prioritizing yourself in the relationship with God, leading by example, setting boundaries, and being present to teach biblically, discernment, and protect your home from harmful influences. Today, we have Justin Derry, owner and creative director of Legenderry, and the assistant director of creative services and branding at WIU. Go Next! With over a decade of award-winning design and experience, Justin is a master of storytelling through design, creating impactful visual solutions for small businesses, nonprofits, and churches. He's known for thinking outside the box. I didn't know there was one. Uh, he asking the right questions and bringing brands to life through creative marketing, or as he likes to say, creating legendary brands. Beyond his creative work, Justin has walked through life with Christ for over 20 years and is a loving husband of 8 years and a proud dad of 2 energetic little kids, 4-year-old daughter, wise beyond her years or ears, and the 2-year-old son fully embracing his terrible twos. Justin, happy to have you on. How have you been able to stay rooted in your faith through these great responsibilities?
Well, thanks, Nick. Yeah. Like you said, with the 2 kids at the age that they are, it is, there are challenging days for sure.
You need to get a little closer.
Nope, I'm a little far. Here we go. Like you said, it is a little challenging with the ages that they are. I feel like there's a lot of days where the responsibility feels heavy almost, just because you know that they're not going to be that little forever. You really hope they're not going to be forever.
For sure.
Yeah.
some days.
Yeah.
Especially the Dino 2-year-old right now. He is roaring at everything he does not like right now. If you tell him to do something, he roars at you. You say, don't do that, it might hurt you, he roars at you. He really does roar at us for pretty much everything right now. But no, I mean, I think it's really cool because with my oldest, she's kind of at that point where, like at church or at home, like she is starting to get bits and pieces of things, like things that kind of surprise you. Like you'll be talking to her and she'll just start asking about heaven, what that's going to look like, or she'll start wondering what Jesus is all about as far as bits and pieces she's heard, at church or heard us talking about. And it's just kind of cool to see those little things clicking piece by piece. Sometimes they're a little, they're like, okay, that's not exactly what we heard today.
Yeah.
But you see the bits and pieces. And so I feel like there's a lot to be said about, like, as a dad, how we can cultivate that and really help grow and water it further. For sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Marcus?
I don't. I don't think today.
I mean, with 6 kids, you probably don't have time to think.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, the hardest part I have to say with like doing this unplugging, right, and being able to be a good parent is like you said, with 6 kids, it's like, okay, what can I do to be Christ for them? But at the same time, I need a moment to just think. And technology does sometimes play a big role in that. And I always say, okay, well, we're only gonna do it for this long, and then we do it for that long, and then they get the fit. Then I get the attitude. It's like, okay, maybe next time it won't be as long, or we can't do it at all, And that's the hard part. Is like when we have behaviors, we try. That's the thing we take away the most. But then now it's, you said, more daunting on you as a parent to try to navigate all of that because you took away their outlet. And so I think for me, though, honestly, is I want their outlet to be Christ. I want them to see that my outlet is Christ. And the hard part is when I'm using my phone to get for that outlet too. So
it's kind of funny how we're arranged here. He's got kids that are 2 and 4. You've got kids that are in the middle of mine, and I've got kids that are on the other side. Could be having kids of their own any day or so. It's kind of funny how
you are old. We know.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny how I have seen it on your end with raising kids with technology and everything, and having to like keep them away from it. at the same time, I'm learning about technology
Mhm.
and I'm using it. And then my kids got to that age where they're like, "Hey, Dad, get off your phone and talk to me. Hey, Dad, put your phone down and listen to me. Hey, Dad, are you, like I'm the one having to wrangle my own technology skills
Yeah.
and because I'm now using what they were using because I was trying to connect with them when they were younger, and now that they're older, I can connect them with them in a much more relatable way because they're adults now,
Yeah.
and I don't need technology to be the cool dad anymore. Matter of fact, if I'm the cool dad, I can't talk about technology because then they're like, Dad, that's so Facebook. Like, we're not on Facebook anymore, Dad. It's like Twitch and like all the new stuff that I don't even know.
That sounds like MySpace. No.
Yeah. Yes, I was around during MySpace. You know what's even funnier now that you say this? Like back when I was playing in that band Casaloma Drive, I was thinking of like how to like market our name back before the millennia hit, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to have this like internet-based site that you could go put your music on for free so people could come and listen to it, and you could just download samples of it, and then this thing called YouTube erupted shortly thereafter. I'm like, huh, I don't know. Maybe I should get some of those creative royalties for thinking of that thing. No, back in the 90s. But it was crazy how, and all the band members are like, no one would ever do that. Like that was the reaction of like everybody was like, technology's not going to be that way in the future, And so the fact that it is, and it's such a great tool, embracing this technology is very key, I think, because the Bible does say there's nothing new under the sun, right? The Bible also says that if we do everything in moderation, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're just using moderation, so if we're on our phones using a moderate amount of time on the phone and not letting it embrace our lives where it's completely engulfing everything that we do, then it's okay. Same thing with like anything else that we put in place. Even sometimes going to church can even be fit in that, like do it in moderation, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, right, then it's even a good thing can become a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question for you guys is, what outside influences have positively influenced the way that you lead in your family? And I'll start with Justin over here.
Let's see. You said that it positively influenced.
Yes.
Well, I mean, to some credit, I think, like you were all saying, like there are a lot of times that my 4-year-old has now picked up on the fact that I'm on my phone a lot, and she'll, me being like designer and doing a lot of stuff on socials or promoting things, like there's a lot of times I'm just on it, and then there's a lot of times where I'm just on it. So it's just for whatever reason, and then it's like it's hard because she doesn't necessarily know that maybe I'm splitting some pleasure with some work with whatever, and she just sees someone on her phone not doing whatever. But I think there's a lot of positive things that I've gotten out of some of those things. Is that I think for me, now granted, you always have to take socials with a grain of salt, because what people want to put on socials, what people want you to see on socials, is sometimes what is being portrayed. And even as I've delved into some of that, like I've noticed like sometimes not the acting per se, but the like putting on a happier persona or a slightly more upbeat bit so that someone listens or watches or breaks the norm. But I think there's a lot of like Christian influencers out there as of late that honestly, like you were saying early on with some of these other social medias when they first came on, we were just posting stuff about like what I ate, what I did in a day to day. And I think now what's kind of cool is, for good or worse, the algorithm likes to send us lots of stuff. And I think, I've gotten to a point with some of my stuff where some of the feeds are really interesting that send me stuff that I'll see like these just interesting ways that people are trying to reach other people with Jesus. And like, some of them, they're a little cringy. They make me feel like, oh, I don't know if that's how I would go about doing this. And especially with it being all over the internet, I don't know. Like to me, some of it just, but at the same time, I will say a lot of it feels like it's Gen Z and below. Like some of these kids are doing stuff that, like, to be fair, they grew up with technology.
Right.
And so I think for me, like, the outside influences I'm seeing that are positive sometimes are some of these people that are just using it in innovative ways, but they're doing it in very relevant ways. So, I mean, one that I can, think of that I always like to follow her and her husband's stuff is like Sadie Robertson and her husband, Christian.
Oh, sure.
Huff.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, they're from the Duck Dynasty bit, and there's all those things, but just like the level of influence that they've started to use their, like, Whoa, That's Good podcast. Like, there's just a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if we're supposed to say other people's.
No, it's all good.
No, you're good. We're having a conversation, really.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's not the only one that comes to my mind, but I just think about, like, there's so many of those even smaller ones that I've started to see that I'm thinking, like, this is the kind of stuff that I really would prefer for my kids to be seeing too. I could think of some other influencers that are just like kids selling kids toys, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And, like, I've come across a lot of those things. Like, gosh, YouTube is full of those things sometimes. And, like, those are like some of the first things to go, because one, it's annoying, and two, I'm like, nope, we don't need to be talking about this kind of stuff. Like, it's you're being influenced for something that you don't even realize you're being influenced on. But I think that's, for me, like, I have seen some of these outside influences be very positive, because some of them, it helps me realize, like, this is what I could also be doing to a degree. Like,
right.
And I'm doing it a little differently sometimes, and I'm not always doing it as profoundly or as effectively, probably even as some of them do. But
yeah,
I think it just, to me, it reminds me that the internet does have the ability for us to use it for good if we want.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's important. We should keep trying to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that as a father, God has given us the ability to seek His wisdom, right, and to receive His discernment on what our kids should and shouldn't be watching, and then also being able, like, your kids, you just tell them, hey, you can't watch that, right?
And I get bored at.
But my kids still roar at me today, but they're like, Dad, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this. They're able to give me, like, an actual, like, conversation as to why they want, and I have to be able to discern, okay, I understand why you feel that way. I know others are doing that, and seeing that way. It's that whole feel, felt, found approach that I'm giving my kids, as opposed to your kids are just getting the, sorry, not going to happen today, and that's it.
Hammer down.
Yeah. And they just can roar at you or scream at you or kick at you. And mine are, hours away now, but no matter what phase of life we're in, and again, it's kind of funny how we're kind of lined up in the fact that I'm the old guy.
We're all wearing black shirts.
Yeah, that too. But and I'm wearing my lunch man shirt. Yeah. Kayla calls it my lunch man shirt. But the fact that we're lined up this way, knowing that Christ can handle fathers of young kids, or the in-betweeners, or the ones that are about to have their own kids. We're still given wisdom for those each phases of life to be able to handle telling our kids what God wants for them to have in those moments. And sometimes we have to still say no, even at my age. Like when my son, he bought a BMW when he was just out of high school. I thought it was a mistake, but again, who was the guy who found the BMW? Might have been me. So I put that thought in his head. See, that was not proper wisdom. I didn't discern that. I didn't go, okay, this is a horrible decision, but I'm going to tell my kid about this car anyway.
It was Nick thought, not God thought.
Yeah. So he goes off to Minnesota and his car breaks down. What does he get? Another BMW. Because, he didn't learn.
Yep.
But I didn't teach.
Try and try again.
Yeah. But at least this time he got a newer one, so it's a little bit better of a deal, but it's still a BMW.
Yeah.
No offense to those BMW owners out there, but, your parts are expensive. And I do not have that kind of cash. So, and neither does my son, because that's where, where he's going. If he doesn't have that kind of cash, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, so like in those situations, now I'm going through this health challenge, weight loss challenge, whatever you want to call it, right? And I'm having to forego things that I enjoy when I'm bigger guy, right? And want to be out of shape and
Taco Bell.
Yeah, like I want to enjoy Taco Bell. I want to enjoy fast food. I want to enjoy sodas. I want to enjoy all this, but I am having to discipline myself to not do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do when my kids are like, "Hey dad, I want McDonald's. Hey dad, I want Taco Bell." I'm like, "You guys are really mean. Really mean right now." You know, "Hey dad, let's have pizza." Again, you're really mean right now. That's just not fair. Um, so what do? I go get them their fast food, and I just don't eat it. I smell it.
Yeah, so you get to smell it.
I get to smell it, but I don't get to eat it. So, is that a wise decision to like say, hey, it's not right for me, but I'm going to let my kids do it? Some might say that's a wrong move, but others might say, teach their own. I don't know the correct answer on that. I think if my kids want to end up like me present day, they probably want to heed my lifestyle change.
Yeah.
But if they want to end up, like doing their own thing and going with the flow and whatever happens, it's on them. But when they hit this age of where the parents, opinion no longer matters.
Yeah.
You're kind of really stuck, I mean, we were all at that age once.
Yeah, my
right?
parents' opinion didn't matter a lot longer before I got out of the house.
Yeah.
So
I was just about to say that.
And apparently Justin's 2-year-old, their opinion doesn't matter at
right
all
now. Yeah.
So
It's like, hello world. Hey, by the way, my opinion is the only thing that matters, not my dad's, not my mom, right?
He's like,
hello world. Yeah.
We're having this for dinner.
Yeah.
I guess we're not.
So is there any advice that you would give young fathers out there that might be different than what I might give them being an older father?
Pray. That's the best advice I can give you is pray. Read your book. And what I mean by book,
I was going to say, what book is that? What book is that?
Read your Holy Bible, because
the Holy Bible.
Yeah,
is that the one with the holes in it?
Yeah. Well, I mean if you run through it like I do, sometimes maybe trying to find that right scripture to read to help get me through the day, or I say day, but I mean the moment I'm in, because it's a moment by moment lifestyle here.
Yeah, for sure.
The best advice, honestly, though, apart from those two things, those are the best things I could say is pray and read.
What does reading the Bible look like to your kids? For you, what do they see when you're reading the Bible? What do you think they see?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about.
Do they just see somebody scrolling on the phone?
So I do a little bit of a mixture, right? Like in the mornings, I try to do my devotionals or whatever study I'm doing on my phone. But when they see me in my Bible, I hope that they're seeing someone who's looking for answers. But I know that a lot of times when we do bedtime stories and we read out of the Bible, I think what I see them is I do see some engagement and some what is the word? I'm out of words already. But I see them ready to get the story over with, but I do see them like having some questions. Okay, why is this going on? And luckily, I've already read it and I've studied a lot of it, so I get to tell them, hey, well, this is why they're doing things like this back then. This is why he was saying these things, because this is the culture then.
Yeah.
And so I think about that today, like our culture is a lot of technology. So
right.
How do you explain some of the things there? Like this is our culture.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hopefully they see that, okay, this is a time for dad to just reflect on himself.
Yeah.
And like we said, do the unplugging.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it could change their culture.
Yeah. What about with you?
Yeah, no, I was gonna add on to that a little bit with some examples of how we've kind of done prayer and Bible, and we changed up because what, like you were saying, like what does the child see? And I mean, as I already told you, they're like, "Daddy, you're on your phone a lot. Like, play with me," which rightfully so. But it made me wonder like that. Like they just see someone with their phone out. They don't necessarily know. Again, like, is that the Bible app that's pulled out? Like, no, this is actually an important moment. This is not TikTok right now. This is actually the. So we started switching, and we pulled out, like the physical Bible, like the book, and something that we started switching up. Where like my wife and I, and she's been a lot better at this because she's a much more morning person. Like right now, like I'm thriving right now. Like this is great at late at night doing stuff where she and the kids are asleep right now. So, but come morning, I'm going to be in rough shape. But anyway, like we're reading the Bible at morning time. So like, we just it was one of those, you just have to like start doing things. And so we just were like, we're going to implement this, guys. Like this is now Bible time in the morning for like the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like, let's be real, it never goes to 20 minutes because we don't get that much.
Yeah.
But we try.
Yeah.
And like, so like some of it's just us reading it, but we've gotten into this habit where like they want to hear it because, they're like in that mood at 2 and 4 where stories are fun. And so, so we're just like reading it and stuff now. And that's kind of been interesting because like you said, they are engaging. Now, granted, 2 and 4, I can tell you like Kins was the one down there as I was coming down, and she'd already started and was reading them, and she's reading out of like Matthew, and it's towards the end. And so I come in and all I hear is there will be a weeping and gnashing of teeth. Like, wow, this is heavy for a 2 and 4-year-old. One, I don't know if they know. I was just like, man, dude, this is the one you picked to read to them today. Yeah. Like, this is heavy stuff. Like,
we're going through the book of
totally
Proverbs, and like it talks about the wayward woman. And I'm just like, okay, how can I change this for suitable for 11 and 10-year-old ears?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, cause that's the thing. Like the Bible does have a lot of dangerous stuff in it, like to some degree, because it is, it's powerful, but it's also stuff that, like, if you're young, you don't quite understand some of the things that it's talking about, because so that's why like that doesn't tend to, the gnashing of teeth doesn't really make it up on murals in churches.
Now, see,
right.
When my kids were 2 and 4, I would read to them every night, right? And I got to the point where the digital Bible came in play, and then this thing called a play button came at the bottom.
Oh, geez.
And Morgan Freeman's voice would come on, and they'd be like, "Dad, why does your voice sound so strange?" Because I'm usually reading them, and all of a sudden I'll hit the play button, and Morgan Freeman will come on, and it'll be like completely different. And then soon after that, you'll hear me snoring in the background because I'm like falling asleep, and the story's still being read to them. I'm like, hey, I'm ensuring a foundation for my kids, even though I've fallen asleep. I at least hit the play button, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you heard Morgan Freeman's like in the beginning,
his weeping and gnashing of teeth would be a little bit more fun to hear,
right?
You're like, all right.
So kind of going about what you said, like all the things that are in there, right? Like there's a lot that if it was on a TV show or a movie, you wouldn't let your kids see it. And you said earlier, like having that discernment of what your kids can watch. My oldest, he saw this clip of The Simpsons on Pinterest or a skit or something. I don't know what it was, like a little snippet on Pinterest, and he was talking about like, oh, I would like to watch The Simpsons, and my mother-in-law told him no because it had a lot of unchristian things in there.
We're talking about Inagata DeVito. Oh,
yeah, and so well as like, what were those things? Like explain to me, and like a lot of it was, sexual immorality, death, and all these things. And I'm like, wait a minute, have you not read your book? It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's like, the first part of it is like all about that stuff too. So,
right.
I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, it was just the fact that like we were saying, like it has these things. So you have to find a way to word it in a way that they're going to understand and know what it is at an appropriate age.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so my oldest, he's 14. He knows about a wayward woman, but my 11-year-old and my 10-year-old, they don't really know what a wayward woman is. So I had to explain it to them in a way that they are going to understand and not be so graphic. Yeah. So that's just what I was kind of getting at. Like, obviously I'm not going to let my son watch The Simpsons unless I'm sitting with him.
Right. So you can hit nowadays you can hit the pause button. Back when I was watching The Simpsons, it was like, oh, quick, power off or unplug it. See, I mean, I believe that our children do model what we see, and how we spend our time and how we prioritize it is also how they'll model their life. Like, it's not only what they see visually, but also your actions and your mode that you run in and day out. Your kids are going to start to model that. I know that's why a lot of kids end up being in the same field that their father was or mother was, because they saw that. Like, teachers usually have teachers as kids, like, or doctors usually have, they usually follow in the same footsteps because that's what they know. Right. So it demonstrates self-discipline. So if we demonstrate self-discipline throughout our day, our kids are just going to easily, fall into that self-discipline type scenario and setting boundaries. And one thing that I've tried to do, but have only like partially, like, okay, I'll be completely honest. I was going to say 10%, but it's probably more like 2 or 3%. Truth is digital Sabbath days, where it's basically you try to, like, we like to have family game nights where we're board games, not phones, or we'll do like time where we're watching a Christian movie on, like, something that reflects Christ and nothing more, with TV, or we just shut the TV off. And again, like I said, I love sports, so it lasted about 2%. Because a lot of Sunday sports, happen, and that I like to watch, and so it's been a hard one to do. But on the times that we have done it, our kids have been like, I want to do that family game night again, or I want to do those things because those were fun, and they got to interact. And it wasn't time where they were quarreling with one another. They were actually having fun and creating memories and moments and self-discipline at the same time.
So my question for you then, Nick, would be, how do you do that? Like, how do you have a family game night when you're just not feeling very energetic, or very motivated to do that? You know what I mean? Like, you're just physically and mentally drained, and you know that you still have to do this because you plan to do this with your kids.
Well, I would say this. It's kind of like my workout schedule that it's been over the last month. Do I want to get up at 5 a.m? Heck no. I love sleep. You can ask my wife. I will sleep through anything, even at the movie theater. Like, I'll pay money to go watch a movie and I'll sleep right through it. So, like, I love sleep. But what do I want more? I want to have that healthier lifestyle at the end. So I have chosen, no matter what, I'm going to go through. It's pretty much like I said, I'm going to go through the motions no matter what. If my heart's in it or my heart's not in it, I'm still going to create that habit by going through the motions each and every day. So I get up, I do my workout, I do my devotion along with my workout. So it makes my workout not suck so bad. And it also, like, an hour goes by a lot quicker when you're in the Word. Reading alongside it while you're doing your push-ups or your sit-ups or your biking, like on an exercise bike, by the way. Not a stationary bike, not leaving anywhere.
Not cycling.
We do need to get him to go for a cycle with us.
Give me till July and we'll see what happens. Okay. But like, I have lost 20 pounds since I'm doing this, right? So even though I hate it every day, I do it every day. Matter of fact, I've gotten to the point where I do 2 a days now, morning and night. It's almost become an addiction. Like, I'm addicted to working out because I want that end goal so badly that I've chosen. And then alongside that, I'm doing my devotions, and I'm even doing devotional videos in those moments too. So I'm setting up my day. And you know what? I've noticed my day, no matter if it's a really hard day at work, a really stressful day, with family or whatever comes, or my water heater going out,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case might be, it's okay because I've already prepped myself with the Word of God. I've already created that cycle within my habits to where the enemy can throw things at me and it's not going to knock me off where my end goal is going to be because I've already created that habit. So I'm only 30 days into this, and I have missed a few days at the 5 in the mornings because I do like sleep and my alarm does not like to go off. But what I'll do is when I do get up, I still go at it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't go, okay, I'll just start tomorrow. Nope. I get up and I go at it because I know I have 3 people calling me or texting me. I have a friend from Minnesota. I'll have a friend here in town, and then a personal trainer here in town. All 3 I know are going to ask me, did I do that work today? And I do not want to disappoint any one of them by saying, no, I didn't do it today.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I don't want to disappoint myself. And that's really what it comes down to. Same thing with family, being intentional about this whole taking a break time and focusing on the things that matter help get you into that habit. So whether it's going through the motions at the beginning just to create that and just keeping it on your schedule day in and day out till it becomes something meaningful. Something meaningful doesn't always start being meaningful. Sometimes it does start with just going through the motions.
Yeah. So I find myself sometimes when I get to that point where I get this mental exhaustion, I get the physical exhaustion, and I'm just like, I know I still have to push through. I call it autopilot. And I am thankful that because I have put in a routine of the things that are good and healthy for me, right? Like reading my Bible, like the devotional. So when I am feeling mentally drained, it is autopilot mode. Just do it, and at the end of the day, I can lay down and be like, I got through it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not always easy, but what about you, Justin? How do you find that time to just be intentional with your family, even when you're down? You're not feeling the greatest.
Yeah, that's a great question. I always find it tough too because I feel like sometimes when you really put in a lot of the effort, then you sometimes feel bad the next time when it's like you can tell that intentionality really meant something. And that was so exciting. Do the thing again. And you're like, that was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
That's not the thing. I'm so tired. Yeah. So I wrestle with that because I know sometimes you see the benefits of pouring in so much, but I think you guys saying all that kind of reminded me way back on your first question a little bit about the outside thing, and I totally forgot this, but it helps a lot with intentionality for me has been John Acuff is this really awesome guy that talks a lot about goals and setting them and reaching things. He's not the only one. I also read a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ah,
I know, not 2 different kinds of people, and yeah, well, that too. But he set goals as well, and so I don't know. For a while, I was just I felt a little lost with stuff like that. I felt annoyed at myself. I felt annoyed at my kids. I went through a season of that for sure.
Yeah.
Of just regretting the kids, being resentful towards them because of the stress of it all early on with all that. And so I just looked at myself and thought I didn't really feel like a great dad. And I'm not so okay, I'm not necessarily looking at all of them as dads, but I was trying to figure out how can I find ways to motivate myself? How can I? And so I started looking at a lot of places, and not necessarily just straight up the Bible right at the first, but started looking for successful, quote successful. How are people doing it? Well, something that really hit me, and John Acuff is a Christian, I believe, that does a lot of really cool stuff as far as reaching goals. And one of the thing was just baby goals, baby steps, just hit one goal so that you feel good about yourself and then hit more. They do that with the snowball effect. It's all that kind of, and you hear that stuff and you just think, sure, whatever, but the reality of it was once you mentally started thinking that way, I started to see the same kinds of things in the Bible too, when Jesus talks to us, like, he's honestly giving lots of people these little tiny wins. Like, I'm so proud of you, Peter. You did this tiny little thing for me. Like, but it's not tiny because like the next one's even bigger.
Right.
The next one's even bigger. And before you know it, like
he takes a whole church.
Yeah. Like he takes these bozos and makes them into these people that are willing to do, the unspeakable it's incredible. So anyway, that's one of those things that, like, when it comes to my family, I really started to think, like, how can I be more intentional? How can I be better? So I took baby steps, baby goals.
Right.
And so I would say, like, now I look at it more strategically than I did, with them. I look at it as a way to, like, so a good example of this is my mom, when I was little, always prayed with me in the car. And that had like the biggest impact. Like I always thought about it. She always did it right before we went to school. And so that was like one of those, like, I just thought, like, this is a little thing, like there's a little goal to do, but I should do that with my kids. So like she started going to preschool. And so I was like, we're going to pray. And so like now that's just what we do. And what's funny about that is not only does that lead to, if I'm tired or I forget in the car, that she's like, hey dad, we got to pray. Like you forgot, like, let's do it before we get there. But also like at home, we've gotten in a better habit of like before meals, before others. And so like now she's also very intentional, like, guys, I mean, granted, halfway through her food or whatever, she's like, did we forget something? And you're like, oh yes, I'm so sorry. All right, everybody, and Drew, roar, like, thanks. Appreciate it, bud. But no, I just think that's one of those, like, you think of that as a little thing, but like I can't help but think, like, what is she gonna look like as a 16-year-old that has this like intentionality of praying about things,
right?
Because that's one of those things, working with teens, sometimes I've seen, like, there's a lot of teens that still even struggle with just prayer. And I don't know, to me it's a very basic thing to talk to God, to cry out to him, just be honest with him, heart to heart. And I just, for my family, I really want that, like, hey, if you're struggling, if you're going through something, this is what dad does, this is what mom does, like, we got to pray about it, you got to think on it, do it now, like. So that's one of those things of how I'm trying to be intentional with them is, and I realized I was not like the whole time.
We will
that's okay.
Well, Nick will edit it
for sure. You're louder than Marcus anyway, so it'll be all good. One of the things that I remember as a kid, I would go over to my music teacher's house every week for lessons, right? And on their TV, they had Philippians 4:8. Whatever's true, whatever's noble, right, pure, and lovely, you should guide, think on these things, is what it said on there. And so it was right next to their TV. And back in those days, we just had this thing on and off and a dial on that TV. This was before the remotes were the thing, There was just a dial on TV. So you'd have to literally get up and go to that channel changer in order to change the channel, and then you would see that. And I thought that was so cool. Like, I also thought that was so weird at the time. Like, okay, really weird, really weird family. But like looking backwards, I go, that was cool because his kids had that note every time they went to go, turn on the TV. They had that verse, even though it may have not really come to complete like frontal thought, but subconsciously it was always there, right? So can you imagine like their kids growing up and having that placed in their subconscious, in the back of their mind, everything that they were doing, always going to whatever's true, noble, right, pure, lovely. Think on these things, that helps you when it comes to discussing dangers of things. Like, and back then you didn't have to discuss dangers of technology because there wasn't really any dangerous technology that was in somebody's hands. It was usually an Oregon Trail or where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, on a floppy disk drive, that was your or Atari, we had back then. Those were your dangerous, technology tools back then, or the 8-track tape, or vinyl records, which are making a comeback. But touching on what Justin was talking about with his kids, I was reminded of the Brandon Lake song that's Talking to Jesus. It's a song about where he's praying, talking to God, and his son's like, "Hey, Dad, you got a second? Oh, I see you're busy right now." And he's like, "Actually, it's the best time. Come, let me teach you what I'm doing here. Let me show you how this affects your life and will affect you for the rest of your life."
Yeah.
And then like it becomes a part of his fatherhood, right? And that becomes a part of his kids' fatherhood, and generational, affecting generations for, generations and generations and generations. And without that, their choices, their execution of what they do on a day in and day out basis doesn't really affect them, or does it? I mean, there's always a positive and a negative effect, right? Whether you choose to do something God's way or not, it's still going to affect your kids, right?
Yeah.
So, choosing to bring them alongside, watching them talk to Jesus as you talk to them, like having that relationship, I think only strengthens it over time.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you bring up that song too, because I mean, one, I love that song, and that's kind of that same thought. But Riley loves "Praise" by Brandon Lake.
Oh yeah,
that's also one of those funny things that like she heard that once, and now that just like became her favorite song. She dances to it. She loves it.
Yeah.
Like, you just sometimes you just don't think about that, but what you're putting out there, like what we're listening to, what we're watching,
Yeah.
sometimes they're really seeing it.
Yeah.
They're thinking about it more than you think they're thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I remember when my kids were little and my wife had to work and we didn't have a sitter. So Matthew was probably 4 years old. Michaela was 2. And I brought him to work with me. And I worked in the business financial world. And so I just put him in the conference room while I was working, and just let him color and do whatever. And I'm like walking by trying to hand some stuff to the secretary, and I hear some Newsboys songs being sang by my kids, and I'm like, "Hey, keep that quiet, okay? Keep it quiet down." And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want people knowing my kid. And at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, am I like shunning them because they're singing Christian lyrics in a place that's not really a Christian place?
Sure.
Am I embarrassed about that, or am I grateful that my kids are doing and being that type of light in a place?
Yeah.
At the moment, I was ashamed to say it, but I was kind of like ashamed that they were doing, like I was embarrassed about it, like, hey, quiet down, you're a little loud, out of key, really horrible singers. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, your lyrics are cool, but I don't want those sang right now. When after that day happened, I really did think about, like, man, I really didn't do that right, because my kids were not hurting anybody by singing aloud in the conference room with the door shut. They weren't really being heard by anybody.
Yeah.
But yet I chose to say enough of that when they were just singing praises to God, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way that you should train your kids up to be followers of Christ.
Yeah.
Luckily, they didn't listen to me very well.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing too, though, about that is like, because same thoughts. Walmart.
Yeah.
Going in there and like one of my kids is singing this. Kins has this song that's like what is it? It's like an old hymnal song, so it's not like my preferred favorite song at all. But like it's kind of sing-songy, and it's like red is my favorite, or red is the color of my favorite rose. Something to that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like very old-timey.
Yep.
Like it's in a hymnal somewhere,
Yep.
and it's pretty. But Riley will sing that really loudly, and I know I've had the same thought sometime of like. But at the same time, kids have that beauty of being like, and I'm not saying that someone wouldn't get offended, and it is what it is, who cares? But like at the same time, them being so little, there's probably more likelihood that people are more interesting to listen because they see the cute kid, or they see the, like, kid just having fun being a kid, and they're like, well, that's interesting. They're singing a song with Jesus in it or Bible stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna tell me to be quiet.
Yeah.
They're like, dude. Well, I mean, they're not gonna be nice about it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna look at your daughter and be like, "Oh, that's so awesome."
Yeah, like it would be weird if I was yelling that loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
them, they do kind of get away with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
cool to some degree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what you say? By staying present, resting from screens, and seeking accountability, you can model a life that honors God and nurtures meaningful family connections through prayer and wisdom. You can lead your family in navigating technology with purpose and with faith. If you guys have never had a chance to experience who God is in the way that we've been talking about his grace and the things that he does for our families and the ways that we can disciple our kids, I want to give you that chance to experience God through the grace of the gift of eternal life that he is extending to you right now by allowing you to bow your heads with me and repeat after me. Lord Jesus, I confess that I have sinned against you, and I ask you to forgive me for my sins. I thank you for sending your son so that I can receive this gift of salvation, and I'm so grateful that I did not have to do anything to earn it. I ask you to come in and live in my heart and in my life and help me to live out my life for you. In your name, amen.
Amen.
So no matter where you're at in your walk with God, stay in daily conversation with him, living this life in delight of him. I pray that you can set your mind on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, and whatever is lovely. Do things that admire the God that you serve. Unplug from the world and seek holiness, my friends. And with that, this concludes another episode of the Foundational Fathers podcast. But before we go, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Sasquatch Gun Oil and the Million Bibles Initiative. And they both support the Million Bibles Initiative by logging on to themutebassplayer.com or sasquatchgunoil.org and using the code
FFP 316.
Again, thanks again for watching. This is the Mute Bass Player alongside Marcus and Justin. Signing off. We'll see you next week.